Hello, my friends. How are you? It's Rachel, and today we are going to be making these really cool ephemera folders from some vintage books. We're going to take the books apart and turn them into something that can hold our ephemera. Aren't these pretty? So I will show you how I did these. This is inspired from Rachel over at Roxy's Creations. I will have her channel linked down below. I'm going to show you how I did mine and some of the thoughts I had doing it, how I did it. This is going to be a voiceover kind of tutorial because these are really kind of time consuming. I'm not going to lie, they're time consuming, and letting some things dry kind of takes a little bit of time, but yeah, I'm so excited to show you these. I'm so excited to get all of my stuff in these. And yeah, so let's get busy. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is take all of the pages out of the book. So I'm just using a little razor blade thing to pull the pages out. And if you have any extra little like bits from the book you need to trim off, do that. I'm using this paper tape to kind of reinforce the spine because I kind of cut into the spine on this one. This tape that I got off of Amazon, I don't recommend it because it started peeling up and I had to use more glue, but you can also use like painter's masking tape, stuff like that. But so I'm going to give you measurements throughout this process as well. And keep in mind that these are measurements for the book I am doing in this video. So make sure you are measuring your book yourself to see what size pages you need and pockets. So I also put that tape on the outside there. So the next thing I'm going to do is pick out some paper. So you're probably going to want to use double-sided paper for this so that each page has something on it, but it is definitely not required. You can obviously do whatever you want with this. So I'm doing 2 signatures for the book that I'm doing here in the video and 2 pages per signature. Make sure you're using like a really good cardstock paper for this so it kind of it holds up and is easy to kind of turn. It kind of retains that rigidity. And you're also going to need another sheet of paper. I don't really think this matters if this is cardstock or not, but I wanted some paper to kind of cover the inside covers of this book. So we're going to be doing a floating or a hidden spine. Where did I get floating? A hidden spine for this. So you can glue these pages on after you put the spine in. Before, I'm kind of following what Rachel did and add the papers first and then do the hidden spine to it. So what I just did was measure the inside cover of the book. And for this book, I did a little bit less than 8 inches high and 5 inches wide for each page. So when I go to cut my larger pages, I will be cutting a little less than 8 and then 10 inches wide to fold. So with those pages, I just cut, a little less than 8 and then 5 to glue on the inside cover. So here I'm just going to go ahead and cut those pages. And when I fold them, I just fold them in half and just ran my finger along the edges. I didn't use a bone folder to push them down because I noticed lately whenever I use the bone folder on like scrapbook paper, it like kind of starts to crack the paper. So some things I've just been using, my fingers to push it down. Now what I also did after I decided the order of my pages was trim the inside pages just a little bit like I'm doing right here, just because they stick out a little bit, and I do that in the other journals too. Any pages that stick out, just trim off a little bit. So now I'm going to glue these to the inside covers, and I'm just using Fabri-Tac for this. I want some, good glue on there, and I use my finger to kind of make sure I have glue all over the paper. So then we'll just push those down, and then you can use an old credit card or gift card to run along the pages and make sure that you've got it adhered down. You can also peel up those other pages that are glued to the cover of the book. I chose not to because they were on there pretty good, and I just really didn't see a need to. They really weren't peeling up. So I'm going to get those put on, pressed down. And next thing I'm going to do is cut a piece of fabric that's going to be used for the spine. And so I'm just cutting it to the height of the book plus a couple inches on each side. I'm going to be using my pinking shears to kind of get a little bit of an edge on the fabric. That you don't have to do that. I just like how it looks. And yeah, so that's just what I did. So next thing, you're going to need some cardboard for that spine. So you could use like the back of a paper pad or tracing pad or watercolor paper. You know, that thick cardboard that comes in it. Or you could go ahead and use chipboard, cardboard, whatever you want to use. So you're going to cut that to the height of your book, okay? And then I first cut it a little bit too big and set it inside the book to see how wide I needed it. And then I ended up cutting it a little bit smaller. So I think mine is about 3/4 of an inch. Then I glued it down with Fabri-Tac. After it dries, you want to mark where you're going to be poking the holes for the signature. So I just did in the middle and then an inch from the top and the bottom and marked it. Now, I did not apparently record making my vellum pockets. So you want to get some good thick vellum. The vellum from Michael's or Hobby Lobby works really well for this. And what you're going to do is measure your book page. So mine is 5 inches wide. I actually made my pocket 4 3/4 inches wide because I didn't want it all the way to the edge. Okay. And then my bottom pocket, I made 2.5 inches high, and the top pocket I made 2 inches high. So my pockets on each page are different heights, 2.5 inches on the bottom, 2 inches on the top, and they're both 4 3/4 inch wide. You can see that they're not all the way into it. I use score tape on the pockets, okay? You can use glue if you want on your vellum pockets. You don't even have to use vellum if you don't want. You can use whatever paper you want to make your pockets, okay? But vellum I like because you can see through it. Score tape, 1/8 inch score tape. I will try to have it linked down below. I really don't notice things sticking to it on the inside of the pocket. And so you're going to put your pockets on each of your scrapbook pages. So adding the score tape and gluing those or putting those in the pages is so time consuming, just so you know. So here I'm just poking the holes into my spine, and I'm getting ready to sew them in. So this is after I've already put in all of my pockets. I thought it was easier to put the pockets on the pages first and then sew it onto the spine. So for this, oh, don't forget to poke holes in your paper before you get started. And I just use the spine to line that up in there. So for this, I used some linen thread. You can use embroidery floss, whatever you want to use. And it's the 3-hole pamphlet stitch is what I'm going to be using for this. I'm not really going to, kind of talk you through it. There's a lot of tutorials on YouTube. This is my least favorite part, is sewing in signatures. It is just so awkward to do. And the first one of these that I made, I sewed it upside down and then I sewed it on the wrong thing. So the third time was the charm. I finally got it in. So just lay down your little spine thing and make sure that you kind of know which way you need your signatures put in there. So make sure, like, on that I mark the top, you know, just so I know, because doing it 3 times was a little annoying. I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, so I forgot to say, with those pockets, you're going to put the score tape on the sides and the bottom. Obviously, don't put it on all 4 sides of your pockets when you put them in, because then, you know, your pockets will be closed. But yeah, here I am struggling to sew this in. Okay, finally. So you can decorate your pages like I did there. And so I'm adding glue. I'm just using Fabri-Tac here on the spine part. And the reason I didn't use Fabri-Tac for all of it is because when that stuff dries through fabric, it looks wet. So you're going to see me change to Elmer's school glue. Let me tell you, Menards had this on clearance, I think last year. They were like, I don't know, 50 cents a bottle or something. And I bought a whole bunch of them. And I really need to use these up. So I'm just using Elmer's glue for this. Most people, you might be aware, a lot of people use Elmer's glue mixed with a little bit of water to make Mod Podge, a faux Mod Podge. So this is totally up to you. Whatever glue you feel comfortable using. Elmer's glue worked just fine. And so I'm going to sit the pages up so it sits down in that spine and let it dry. And I let that dry overnight. And so I'm just going to go ahead and decorate the front of this book because it really needs it. So I just used some scrap paper, and I also used some replica 1930s fabric I've had forever. And I cut up a doily to put on the top that I got at a garage sale last weekend. But yeah, if you have questions, because I know this kind of goes a little fast, let me know. I will try to answer them as best as I can in the comments. I had fun making this, and if you make it, let me know. I would love to see yours. So let's do a final flip through. Okay, so that's it. It's still drying from adding on my fabric on the outside, but let's do a flip through. So I haven't put anything in yet. Like I said, still drying. I love how this one turned out. I think they are pretty easy to make, just time consuming. Definitely time consuming. But they'll be great to have, you know, like on your desk, to maybe give to another crafting or junk journal friend too as a gift. Whatever you want to use them for. You know, if you do a bigger book, you can also add more to your signatures, another signature, more pages, like I was saying, you know, whatever. I think this is a good amount of signatures and pages for this size of a book. It's so cute. Now I have 2 kind of matchy-match-ish little books to use for all of my ephemera, so I will get these filled up once everything dries. But yeah, if you make one of these, let me know. I would love to see it. Tag me if you post a picture. My socials are down below. Make sure you're following me, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!